think somebody in one of my groups mentioned you. It was funny because it was Boolean's really good. They're really expensive though. I've been very impressed. You guys were well prepared with the whole process, like talking about the domains and asking the questions. You had your checklists and the project managers being always there, keeping on track from the get go.
What's up, you guys? One of the things that I hear most often from people that don't work with us, which is ironic, is that Boolean is expensive. I want to dive into that a little bit because we are certainly not the cheapest option out there, but we're also not trying to tailor to small painting companies. And one thing that I find very interesting is that companies that are larger than 4 or 5 million, all the way up to 15 million, they're literally like costing themselves money to not use us. Our prices are very adequately or appropriately priced for the value that we're solving. But a small painting company doesn't have the same ROI because there just isn't the same amount of volume, and takes the same amount of effort to automate and put systems in place for a $500,000 painting company as it does a $10 million painting company. But here's the thing, if you're running a painting company that's trying to scale past 3 to 5 million, which is the point that I see all-in-one systems start to break, you are probably costing yourself a fortune in just the chaos that these all-in-one systems are causing at that level. I always like to use the analogy of a house. The house that you live in is the most appropriate house for the stage of life that's going to evolve over time. And so the idea of what's the perfect house is a silly question to answer, because it depends on, do you have kids? What do you like to do? Do you have hobbies? Do you like hosting? Where do you want to live? Do you want water? Do you want mountains? Do you want land? Like, all of those things matter when you're trying to decide on the perfect house. And I would say that is a perfect analogy for the tech stack inside your painting company. So today you are going to hear the unfiltered feedback from a client of ours that just finished implementation. His name's Seth Williams. He's the owner of Paragon Painting. And Seth scaled his company from 1.2 million in 1 year to 3.4 million in a single year. Now that's an incredible growth rate, but the part that's really, really impressive, in my opinion, is how he was looking to the future and anticipating. He said in here, I always try to be a year ahead of where the rest of my team is, and trying to think of what are the problems that are going to come up. And he talks in detail about the all-in-one systems that he was using prior were not working for his business as it continued to scale. And he was looking for other things out there. And one of the things that someone told him was, Boolean is expensive, but, and you'll see what they said after that. And by the way, we're a tech company. We still deal with glitches. I was really frustrated to find out after this great testimonial that the first 5 minutes of the video actually didn't get recorded. We're starting in the middle of his critical feedback of our sales process. So I'm just going to jump in and play this for you, and you'll hear his critique of what he would have liked to have seen, or how he thinks we should package our product moving forward. But anyways, there's some really, really good information here. I hope you get a lot out of it. Please drop a comment down below if you'd like to see more things like this, or there are questions that you'd like us to ask clients. I'd love to know, because I want to ask those questions and put these out there so we can continue to help people like Seth scale their painting company with much, much less pain and much more efficiency in the process. So hope you enjoy this conversation with Seth Williams.
Like, I wish I would have been able to like talk through some of that stuff during the sales process. That would be the best thing. And I think like if you do that and are more purposeful about like the product, like this is the product, soup to nuts, and this is how, like, even be confident enough where like you recommend like how people use it per se. Because there's a lot of times where they're like, how do you want to use this? And it was such like a new thing to me. I almost wanted you guys to tell me like, well, 17 of our customers do it this way and 4 do it this way, and this is why. And that would help speed the process and not make it so like, there was a lot of stuff where it was like, okay, we're going to have to like get into this and use it before we realize before we can make an intelligent decision about whether or not we want to do it this way. So I think you could, if you were more succinct with the packaging and that kind of thought process, you could actually charge more, because you're you're presenting it up front. And I never got a full walkthrough. Like I never saw You Can Book Me or HubSpot. I just saw Airtable. And I think that you can even talk about all the different things you can do with HubSpot because that's a whole nother world and all of that. So that would be my suggestion.
And so that's the suggestion. But going back to the surprise for you was just to highlight the pain that is leading you to suggest that. What was the experience that was negative?
The surprise was, oh crap, this thing isn't fully like vetted out. It's not like soup to nut. Like I think I used the term bright shiny object. I think you guys are, I checked out everything, right? Service, the mighty is, they're probably the closest to you from a competition standpoint, but they don't seem professional. At least that was my experience. And they don't have other customers you can talk to. So you guys have that. You seem very professional. I'd seen you out on the interwebs talking to people that I respect. So the surprise for me was that like, oh, wait a second. This isn't like fully, yeah, it's not like, all right, take it. And then here's all, it would be even more value add if you had like, okay, here's all the current customizations that we use and the reasons why they do it, like all the other customers. And then you could get into, but it's an infinite box for you. And that's been cool. Once you kind of showed me that and me kind of getting into the back of Airtable a little bit, it definitely is pretty exciting because I've already got like a list of like 50 things that we could get into like a year from now.
What would you say the problems were that you had prior to thinking I should go figure out if there's a vendor out there that could solve, you know what I'm saying? Like you start stumbling in and doing research, and then it's like, oh, there's actually a company that does this thing that actually solves a bunch of these things. Can you list out what type of pain points you were experiencing prior to coming to us?
So one, my sales team was pitching a fit because their process was inefficient, and was hearing from other groups that like the other Nolan groups and things that you want to close on the spot if you can. It's going to really help your numbers out. And they were just really struggling with the estimation side. And then we were constantly maxing out Drip Jobs' system. Like at first it maxed out at 10 crews, and then we were growing so fast that we maxed out, they put it up to 20 crews, and we were breaking their production limits on that. They were running out of colors. And then they have like their chat functions. It's like all of it's in one place. So you have this like chat app that it would literally like every action creates a chat text, and everybody was sharing it. So we doubled the size of our team every year. And as soon as we did the last doubling, it was almost too much. Like you can't scroll fast enough to get back to find out what was going on. So we knew very quickly if we didn't do something before this year, planning on doubling the size of our staff again, that we were going to start providing worse service, and it was going to impair our communication responsiveness because of just the way it's set up. It's not set up for a larger organization. So with all those things kind of put together, and then there's other things like their customer service was terrible. And he doubled the size of his support team, I think like mid-year or something. But by then it had already given like a lot of members of my team a bad taste in their mouth because they didn't get things solved in a reasonable amount of time. So you put all that together. I try to keep myself a year ahead of the team just with planning and thinking and systems and things like that. And I knew we were running out of time if we didn't do something quick. And so it was down to going to another provider that was similar, and none of them really worked well, or going to a stack setup like you guys have in Mighty Stack, or making my own software. And honestly, that was a little intimidating just because like getting an offshore team, I don't really know enough about it to like direct somebody, and just the amount of time it would take to do it. So that's why I kind of settled on this. I think somebody in one of my groups mentioned you. And it was funny because it was Boolean's really good. They're really expensive though. Just want to throw that out there. That was exactly the first thing and it was through Nolan. It was like one of the groups I'm in. I'm in like multiple groups, like a marketing group and an owners group. And somebody has hired you to do something. Yeah. The funny thing was though, their feedback was they regretted doing it that way because they like screwed it up or something. And then I started looking you up and saw one thing I really liked when you have a video with Jason Paris. And I've been following him for a long time because of his Wallogy software and just everything Aleph does. I stay in contact with them actually quite a bit. And they're cool because they're open book. Like you can be like, hey, how do you guys compensate your sales team? And they'll send you like a worksheet on exactly how they do it. I saw a video with you and you were asking all the questions that I was asking in my head, like ahead of time. And some of the stuff really resonated with like badging and just the thought process behind it. It just seemed really a smart way to do things. Oh no, great. In fact, I told Russ that I was like, I've been very impressed. You guys were well prepared with the whole process, like talking about the domains and asking the questions. You had your checklists and the project managers being always there, keeping on track from the get go. Nate was knowledgeable, smart, professional. Really appreciated him. I would say that would like be my only gripe is that, and I think we talked about this already. He wasn't succinct in selling. Like I literally thought his words were for the $2,500 a month going forward is like having your own IT department. It wasn't like, there might be some charges for some other customizations. And like, I didn't even know like what to ask about that ahead of time. So it'd be important for you guys in the future to really be specific about that, which it sounds like you're moving in that direction. But he did a good job of, I had a bunch of questions on there and he sent me a spreadsheet back on what you guys could do and what you couldn't do. And then I gave you the feedback about showing a sandbox. That would be awesome. But no, I thought the whole beginning process was awesome.